mulingabo toma buyani munjani ngaluvenda ndi arosha ndi korkabone ndi madekwana abudi nda. I'd like to welcome you to yet another edition of 263 Africa Sport with Chief Korti. Our first port of call in this edition of 263 Africa Sport is football, and we look at the AFCON 2015. I'm talking about the Africa Cup of Nations here, and Morocco, remember, they were meant to host this tournament next year early in January, but there seems to be challenges there because the Moroccan Football Federation says that no, look, we cannot host this because of the Ebola outbreak, and they're scared that maybe it may come to their country. It's justified, right? I think they've got a point. So a new deadline has been set. Sometime this week we should be knowing who the new host of the AFCON 2015 is, so just keep on tabs. Well, we're still staying with Morocco, and some interesting news also coming there from the North African country is that they have decided to host the FIFA World Cup for the clubs, right? And they say they cannot host the Africa Cup of Nations, but they can host the FIFA World Cup for clubs. How does that work? Really? There's no Ebola there? We move on to some Ghanaian news, and still staying with football, I can tell you that Razak Brima, very young goalkeeper who's plying his trade in Spain for CD Mirand, has made it into the team that is set to play against Uganda and Togo in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers for this week. So he gets a chance ahead of many other experienced goalkeepers, so he's probably an automatic choice. Well, still staying with the world's most beautiful game and Africa's most loved game, we get into some domestic football in Zimbabwe. ZPC Kariba, they have, somewhat surprised the big dogs, Dynamos. I would like to call it a non-event though, because I think Dynamos may come back in their last game. Week 29, it was in Harare, and ZPC Kariba beat Dynamos by 2-1. This was dubbed the decider of the season, but not quite, because there's one more round of matches to go. But this week they take a break, then they make way for the Chibuku Super Cup in that particular footballing nation. Now let's move on to the gentleman's game. You know, it's a lovely, easy game called cricket. Well, South Africa are in Australia for the KFC 2020 series. This was a 3-match series, and South Africa, well, they did well. They're playing good. So we'll be keeping you updated as far as that game is concerned. And I saw in one of the games, JP Dumini was named the captain in the absence of Faf du Plessis, who's, the natural captain for the 2020 side for the Proteas. So they're doing quite well there. And still talking about African cricket, Zimbabwe are in Bangladesh at the moment. They've lost 2 of their first test matches. They've got 1 more to go. It's a dead rubber already because they've lost the series, but then they will get into the one-dayers and then some T20 action. Let's get to find out how things will pan out there in Bangladesh, but not looking good for Brandon Taylor and his soldiers. But we still raise Africa's flag quite high. They are representing the boys. Hamilton Masakadza playing some fantastic innings and scoring 153 runs. Oh, that was fantastic, to say the least. Regis Chakava getting his century on debut. How do you do that, Reggie? Congratulations. I'll move to the rough and tough, and we talk rugby here on 263 Africa Sport, and we can tell you that Zimbabwe, my word, they're doing well in the summer series. They have a tournament that is currently going on that started 2 weeks ago, and it's entering its final stages this weekend with 8 top teams battling it out for the ultimate prize in the summer series. Remember, this is a dress rehearsal for the Confederation of African Rugby tournament that will be held in Harare on the 29th to the 30th of November, where 12 countries from Africa are proudly African. This is equivalent to the AFCON. They will be playing at Harare Sports Club. This is a big tournament, very big, man. I tell you, you need to be in Zimbabwe on that particular weekend because it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. Talking about fantastic, it's been great being with you here. Let me get out of here and leave you glued on your screens here because we give you the next best program. Otherwise, kababe na madeko na abu the zwashu fano wananga. Dinifuna zone kababe na madeko na abu the da. Yeah.